What would you do if your 11-year-old daughter showed up at your car sobbing because your own mother and sister held her down and chopped off her hair at a birthday party so she wouldn't outshine her cousin? She made a handmade gift. She wore the dress she picked herself, and they punished her for being beautiful. I didn't scream. I didn't call them monsters. I didn't even cry. But the next day, they were the ones crying at the police station. Part 1. It was my niece Bella's 12th birthday. Just a Saturday in early spring, banners flapping lazily in the breeze, folding chairs in the front yard, Costco cake on a plastic tablecloth. Nothing you'd expect to turn into a memory your child would never forget, for all the wrong reasons. I had to work that day. Saturday shift at the hospital. Glorious, right? So my daughter Grace, 11 years old, bright as a sunrise, full of gentle pride, went to the party ahead of me. She'd been planning her look for weeks, not out of vanity, but joy. Her hair was everything to her. She'd washed and conditioned it the night before, carefully combed it out, wrapped it in her silk bonnet, and then rewrapped it for extra protection. She begged me to let her go to a proper salon, not the usual place by the gas station with the buzzing fluorescent lights and 10-minute panic trims. Just this once, she said, I want to feel pretty, like really pretty. So I picked up extra night shifts, canceled the massage appointment I'd been looking forward to for 3 months, and I handed her $120 in cash. She chose the style herself, soft curls pulled into a side braid tucked with tiny pearl pins she bought on Etsy. When she stepped out of the bathroom that morning, even I held my breath. Do you think Bella will like it? She asked, fussing with a pin. She'll love it, I said. You look beautiful. She smiled. That smile, the quiet kind, not for show. She even handmade Bella's gift, a scrapbook kit with custom stickers and glitter pens wrapped in pink paper and sparkly tape. She was proud. She wanted to give something meaningful. I dropped her off, kissed her goodbye, told her to text me if she needed anything. I went back to work, believing foolishly that she was safe. I didn't know that by the time I came back, her world would be cracked open by the very people I once called family. By the time I pulled into Sabrina's driveway that evening, something felt off. The kind of gut feeling you only recognize after the storm. I remember the porch light flickering, the way the sun was just setting behind the neighbor's roof, throwing long shadows across the lawn. There was a strange stillness. And then the door opened. Grace stepped out. For 1 second, I didn't recognize her. Her hair, her carefully styled, joyfully chosen hair, was gone. Not trimmed, not cut, gone. Jagged chunks stuck out at odd angles. Some pieces fell just below her chin. Others were so short they stuck straight up. It looked like someone had given a blind raccoon a pair of garden shears and said, "Have at it." She kept her head down as she walked toward me, shoulders tight, hands shaking. She was still in the dress she'd picked out, the pearl pins stuffed into her pocket like the remains of a funeral. "Grace," I asked, getting out of the car. What happened?" She tried to smile, tried to be brave. "That's the part that killed me." "They cut it," she whispered. And then the tears came. I knelt down on the driveway and held her close. She buried her face in my neck and just cried. Deep, heaving sobs that no child should have to choke down in silence. "They cut it," she kept saying. I stroked her back. My hands were shaking. Who Grandma and Auntie Sabrina? It felt like the air was sucked out of the sky. I wanted to scream. I wanted to go inside and tear the whole damn house apart, but Grace was in my arms, so I didn't. I stood gently. "Can we go home?" she asked, wiping her face. "No," I said, calm, too calm. "Not just yet." We walked back to the house together. I half hoped someone would try to stop me. No one did. Inside, the party was winding down. Sabrina stood at the kitchen sink, wiping down counters like nothing had happened. My mother was stacking paper plates, leftover cake on the counter. The scent of vanilla and betrayal filled the room. I stopped in the doorway and asked, voice flat, "What happened to my daughter's hair?" Sabrina didn't even turn around. We asked her to put it in a ponytail. She refused, so we cut it. I blinked. "You cut it." She was being difficult, my mother chimed in. We gave her a choice, Sabrina added. A choice, I repeated, my voice rising just slightly. So you told an 11-year-old to do something she didn't want to do, and when she refused, you punished her by cutting off her hair. It's just hair, Sabrina said. No, it wasn't. She was showing off, Sabrina muttered. Bella was crying. She saw Grace's hair and started sobbing. You think that's fair? You parade your daughter around like that with her fancy salon hair, my mother said, knowing full well we can't afford the same. Fancy salon hair, I echoed like I was in a fever dream. This isn't high school. This is a child. Who saved up? Who planned this? Who made a gift by hand for her cousin? You destroyed her. You made my daughter feel ugly on her birthday, Sabrina snapped. And that's when I realized they weren't sorry. They weren't even pretending. They didn't see Grace as family. They saw her as competition, as a threat, as a girl who dared to shine. I didn't respond. I turned and walked out. Grace was still waiting outside, her eyes red and puffy. I took her hand. We got into the car together. Halfway home, she whispered, "Do you think it can be fixed?" I swallowed the lump in my throat. "We'll make it beautiful again," I said. "I promise." She believed me. That was the worst part. She still believed the world could be made right. But I knew better. I knew what had to be done. And this time, I wasn't going to stay quiet. The silence at home was thick. Grace sat at the kitchen table in one of my oversized hoodies, her knees pulled up, hands clasped tight around a mug of cocoa she wasn't drinking. I could see the way she kept her head turned, like she didn't want her reflection to catch her off guard again. I was pouring tea when she said it. They held me down. No build-up, no warning, just those 4 words flat and quiet like she was reading the weather. I froze mid-pour. What they held me down, she repeated like it didn't mean what I knew it meant. I told them no. Aunt Sabrina pushed me into a chair and Grandma said, "It's just hair. Stop making a scene." Then they cut it. My grip tightened on the teapot. I placed it down carefully because if I didn't, I'd throw it. She was still staring at the table, voice hollow. They were laughing. I sank into the chair across from her, trying to breathe, to anchor myself in something solid. Grandpa said I needed to be humbled, she added. And Bella was filming me. What she was holding her phone. And Connor had his tablet. He was laughing. He said he was going to send it to the family group chat. What group chat? She shrugged. I don't even know. But they filmed it. Her voice didn't crack. That scared me more than tears would have. I looked at her. At the tiny girl who hadn't done anything except show up with joy in her heart and a handmade gift in her hand. And they held her down. Laughed. Filmed it like it was a prank video. I leaned forward slowly, my voice low. Controlled. Grace. What they did to you wasn't just wrong, it was illegal. She blinked. Really, I nodded. It's called assault. They touched your body without consent. They restrained you. They cut your hair while you were crying. That's not just a haircut. That's a crime. She looked down again, whispered. It felt like it. That's because you were right. I paused. Do you want to report it? She didn't answer right away. Her fingers picked at the thread on her sleeve. Then finally, yeah, let's do it. I nodded. We'll need proof. Grace tilted her head like I'd missed something obvious. Connor filmed the whole thing, she said, my eyebrows raised. You're sure he was standing right in front of me? It was like a vlog. I slid my phone across the table. You want to ask him? She didn't hesitate. Opened messages. Tapped his name. Typed fast. Hey, Connor. I know you filmed it. Can you send me the video? 30 seconds later, he replied. Okay, just like that. No shame, no confusion. Just a video file and a laughing emoji. We watched it together. It was short, maybe 12 seconds. But that was all it took. Grace, my Grace, was crying, saying no. Please no. Sabrina grabbed a fistful of her hair. My mother stood behind, arms folded like she was supervising a chore. My father sat on the couch with a plastic fork in his hand and said, "She'll thank you later." Connor giggled behind the camera. Bella shouted, "Do the front next." Grace didn't move. She didn't flinch. When the video ended, she looked up at me, her voice steady. "Can we go now?" We went straight to the police station. No dramatic montage, no changed clothes. Grace in her hoodie, me in my scrubs. My mascara from yesterday still smudged under my eyes. None of it mattered. They assigned us to a detective named Alvarez, mid-40s. Practical haircut. Kind eyes that didn't blink when Grace handed her the video. Alvarez watched it. Twice. No interruptions, no commentary, just a long silence after. Then flatly, "We're opening a formal case." Grace sat straighter, like a new current had filled her spine. "You did the right thing coming in," the detective added. Grace didn't cry. She asked questions. When Alvarez mentioned a child advocate for the follow-up, Grace nodded like she'd just been given a script and was ready to perform. By the time we walked back to the car, she was buzzing. Not happy, no, not that, but lighter, sharper, like something had cracked open in her and finally the light was getting in. "What happens now?" she asked. I told her the truth. There'll be paperwork, a follow-up, maybe a court case, maybe protective orders. It won't be easy. She nodded once. Good. That one word gave me chills. It wasn't just the haircut, it wasn't just the restraint. It was the erasure, the laughter, the message they sent her. You don't get to choose. You don't get to say no. You don't matter. And now she was saying I do. They messed with the wrong child. They thought I would stay quiet, that I would flinch the way I did as a kid, the way I did every time Sabrina mocked me, and my mother backed her up with a smile and a loaded silence. But they forgot. I'm not that child anymore, and neither is Grace. That night, the phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but I knew the voice the second I picked up. "Are you insane?" My mother didn't even say hello. "You went to the police. You actually called the police over hair." I let her rant. Let her throw every sharp word down the line like a tantrum in surround sound. She didn't ask about Grace, didn't apologize. She was only afraid for herself. "You're going to destroy this family," she hissed. "Is that what you want?" I waited, calm. And when she finally stopped to breathe, I said, "You should have thought of that before you assaulted my child." Dead silence. "We didn't assault anyone," she spat. "It was a haircut." "No," I said. "It was humiliation. It was violence. And now it's evidence. You're not thinking clearly. You need to calm down." "Tell that to the detective," I said. And I hung up. Not a second of guilt. Not a second of doubt. And I knew it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The next morning, before I'd even finished my coffee, Sabrina called. Her voice was shaking. "CPS came this morning," she whispered. "They were at the house. They wanted to see Bella's room. They asked if we had scissors lying around." "Ruby, what the hell is wrong with you?" I stirred my coffee slowly. "You actually went through with it," she said. "You pressed charges." "No," I said. "I reported what you did. The rest, that's on you. It's just hair, Ruby." There it was again. That empty line they loved to hide behind. That same minimization they'd used my whole life when they ignored me, belittled me, erased me. Just a joke. Just tradition. Just a sibling thing. Just a haircut. "No," I said. It was holding down a crying child, cutting her body without consent, filming it, mocking her. If that's what you call parenting, then CPS has every reason to be concerned. She switched tactics. "You have to retract the report," she pleaded. "You're tearing the family apart." Bella's terrified. "I could lose my kids. You should have thought about that," I said, "before you touched mine." I hung up again. No drama, just the clean, satisfying click of a boundary locking into place. But I should have known they wouldn't stop there. By noon, the Facebook posts started. A friend from work sent me the screenshots. There they were, my parents, Sabrina posting like it was a public service announcement. It was just a makeover. Grace said she wanted something different. Ruby's always been unstable. She has a history of overreacting. We love Grace. This was a bonding moment. Please respect our privacy. Bonding. That was the word they used, bonding, with scissors, with a crying child, with a camera filming the whole thing like it was reality TV, and then the comments rolled in. I've known Ruby for years. She's obsessed with appearances. It's sad she's weaponizing her daughter. Poor Bella. This whole thing is making her birthday about someone else. It's just hair. Kids need discipline sometimes. Oh, Brenda from church, really, that's your takeaway. I showed the post to Grace. She scrolled slowly, her mouth a tight line, her eyes unreadable. They're lying, she said softly. I know. They're getting away with it. I looked at her, the way she sat up straight, the way her hands didn't shake anymore. Not if we tell the truth. She looked up at me. Would you be okay if I posted the video? She didn't hesitate. Please post it, so I did. No rant, no paragraphs. Just, this is what they call a game. This is my 11-year-old daughter crying while they hold her down and cut her hair. She said no. They laughed. Attached to it, the 12-second video. It exploded. Within hours, it was everywhere. People who'd called me dramatic that morning were tagging me by evening saying, I take it back. This is horrifying. Why is that boy laughing while she's crying? This is assault. Full stop. I'd press charges too. Even Brenda from church deleted her comment. Imagine that. Funny how fast people remember what empathy looks like when there's video. Grace sat beside me watching the numbers climb. The likes, the shares, the messages from total strangers saying, I see you. I believe you. I'm so sorry. She didn't say much, but she smiled. Just a little. Not a full grin. Just the quiet curve of someone who'd finally been seen, not misunderstood, not erased, seen. And 2 days later, I got a text from my dad. Hey, your rent transfer didn't come through this month. Was there an issue? I stared at it, sipped my tea, typed back, no issue. I'm just not paying for people who laughed while my daughter begged them to stop. He replied, Come on, Ruby. You're really cutting us off over a haircut. There it was again. The deflection, the denial, the refusal to say what really happened. I wrote back, It wasn't a haircut. It was an assault. And when you had the chance to say it was wrong, you went on Facebook and lied about it. Also, if you ever try to contact Grace again, I will report it. Another pause. Then, well, I guess money means more to you than family. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't have 1,000 things to say, but because I don't argue with people who confuse consequences with betrayal. They taught me silence meant surrender. But what they never understood was that silence can also mean strategy. And I wasn't done yet. The salon was quiet on Tuesday morning. Grace and I sat side by side on a faux leather bench while the receptionist offered us cucumber water and soft reassurance. I'd found the place online, high reviews, trauma-informed stylists, especially with children. Let's make this yours, the stylist said gently to Grace. She didn't say fix, she didn't say cover it up. She said yours. An hour later, Grace turned toward the mirror. Her new haircut was sleek, intentional modern, but more than that, it was hers. No jagged humiliation, no memory of rough hands, just clean lines and soft confidence. She touched it and smiled. I look awesome. And she did. But even as that piece settled around us like warm air, I knew the war wasn't over. By the time we got home, I had 5 new voicemails, one from my mother. You can still stop this, Ruby. Don't let pride destroy everything. One from my father. It's already all over the church group. You made us look like monsters. 2 block numbers, probably Sabrina, and 1 unknown long pause, then click. They were unraveling. That afternoon, we returned to the station. Grace gave her full recorded statement. She walked in like she owned the place, hood up, jaw set, shoulders square. No one had to tell her how to sit. She already knew. The advocate smiled at her. You ready? Grace nodded. They started recording. How did it make you feel? The officer asked. Grace didn't flinch. Like they thought I didn't matter. And why are you reporting it? Because I do. I sat there with my hands folded in my lap, trying not to cry. Not because she was sad, but because she was strong, fiercely, bravely, quietly strong. The next morning, Sabrina's husband Tyler texted me, "Is this really necessary?" I ignored it. So he tried again. "I know what they did wasn't okay, but this, you're tearing the whole family in half." Oh, we're using that word again, tearing, as if it was whole to begin with, as if loyalty was owed to people who never showed it. Then came the final play. Sabrina texted, "You win." I stared at it. Win. Was this a game? She followed up Bella's getting bullied now. People at school saw the video. They're calling her a monster. She didn't even do anything. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't care, but because I knew what she was doing. She wanted to flip the narrative, make herself the victim, make Grace the villain, rewrite the story just like she always had. A day later, someone slid into my DMs, a name I didn't recognize. A parent from Bella's school just saw the video. "I'm so sorry." My daughter told me what Bella said at the party. I had no idea it was that bad. Then another. "Hi, I'm on the PTA. Thank you for speaking out. If there's anything we can do to support Grace, please let us know." People were watching. People were remembering. Not the lie my family tried to spin, but the truth, captured in 12 shaky seconds of cruelty. And now Grace was visible. For the first time. Completely visible. But visibility came with weight. We were sitting on the porch sipping cocoa again when she asked, "Why did they do it?" I didn't lie. Because they wanted you to feel small. Why? Because when people hate themselves, they don't want anyone else to shine. They think if you're happy, they can't be. She nodded slowly. "What do we do now? We keep going," I said. "We keep showing up for you. We keep saying, you matter." That night, we wrote out a list of boundaries together. 1, no contact. Not with Grandma, not with Sabrina, not with Bella. 2, no responding to messages, no matter how manipulative. 3, Grace's image, voice, and story are hers. No one gets to use them without her say-so. 4, we speak the truth, even when it's hard. Grace signed it with a little heart next to her name. We taped it to the fridge. A week later, CPS formally opened an investigation into Sabrina's household. Someone tipped them off that scissors were still being left out, that Bella had been mimicking the behavior at school, cornering another girl and threatening to make her pretty. The cycle trying to repeat itself. But this time, someone broke it. Me, us, Grace. I knew CPS wouldn't fix everything. I wasn't naive. But the stain had been made permanent. This wasn't something they could sweep away or dress up in Facebook posts. It was on record now. A scar etched in documentation. And me, I was done apologizing. For making noise. For protecting my daughter. For refusing to let family mean doormat. The court didn't need fireworks. No gavel slams, no screaming matches. Just paperwork, a 12-second video, and one signed affidavit from a girl who refused to stay silent. The charges weren't dramatic. No orange jumpsuits or tabloid headlines. But they mattered. Misdemeanor assault. For my mother, for my father, and for Sabrina, convicted, each one. No plea deals that erase the damage. No whispered community service swaps to keep the family name clean. They each paid a fine. They each walked out of that courtroom with a criminal record, and Sabrina. She got the worst of it. The judge ordered her to complete a full parenting course through a trauma-informed program. She had to attend sessions twice a week. CPS would be monitoring her household for the next year. I heard through someone on the inside, Tyler's cousin, maybe that Tyler threatened to leave her, that their vacation got canceled, that Bella's school performance tanked, that Sabrina was crying every night. And I didn't. Not once. Grace didn't want to see any of them. Not at school plays, not at community events, not at her own birthday. So I said no, over and over. No to Sabrina texting from unknown numbers. No to my mother leaving notes in our mailbox. No to, maybe we can all talk this out. No to, it's been long enough. Because for Grace, it hadn't. And for once, her timeline mattered more than anyone else's comfort. I used to believe in mending fences, But what do you do when the fence was always just a cage? You walk away. You plant wildflowers where it used to stand. One day, weeks after the court ruling, Grace came home with a drawing. She'd made it in her art class. It showed a girl, tiny fists, clenched hair, wild and hacked. In front of her stood another version, tall, poised new hair, glittering with stars. "What's this?" I asked. She pointed. "That's me. Before. And that's me now." I stared at the picture. There was no villain in the frame. No scissors. No mocking cousins. Just her. Then and now. And the quiet space in between where power bloomed. That was the echo. Not revenge, not headlines, but identity reclaimed. Later that week, I got one final text from my father. "You know this doesn't have to go on forever. You can still be part of this family." And I stared at it like a museum exhibit, a relic of a past I no longer lived in. I didn't reply. Instead, I picked up my phone, opened Grace's favorite food delivery app and ordered sushi. The good kind. The kind she always saved for special occasions. She ran into the kitchen when she heard the doorbell. "Is it really?" She opened the bag, gasped and smiled. "Oh my God, this is the fancy stuff." "Of course it is," I said. "We're celebrating." "What for?" "For choosing yourself." She paused, then nodded. "Good reason." That night we lit candles, we played music, we danced in the kitchen. Just the two of us. No family texts, no cousin birthdays, no pity invites wrapped in manipulation. Just peace. And the truth quietly filling the room like air. A month after the court ruling, Grace came into the kitchen wearing her new hoodie, the one with a phoenix stitched across the back. She grabbed a banana, kissed my cheek, and said, "I love my hair now." I didn't cry. I smiled, let her walk out the door to school with that lightness in her step, and sat down with my tea. And for the first time in what felt like years, I exhaled. There are things they don't tell you about generational trauma. They don't tell you how quiet it is, how polite, how it shows up wrapped in birthday invitations, compliment sandwiches, and we're just looking out for you, how it hides behind tradition, how it waits until your daughter is 11 and glowing just like you once were and dares to be joyful. And then it snaps. Not because she was rude, not because she was out of line, but because she refused to be small. That's what it was. They didn't cut her hair because she disobeyed. They cut it because she dared to be seen. And in doing so, they revealed everything they'd spent years pretending wasn't real. Their jealousy, their cruelty, their hunger for control disguised as discipline. People have asked me since then if I overreacted, if calling the police was too much, if I really had to post the video, if I couldn't have just kept it in the family, as if silence is safety, as if trauma is tradition, as if being quiet ever saved someone like me. No, I won't keep it in the family. Because the family held my daughter down and cut her hair while she begged them to stop. Because the family laughed and filmed it. Because the family blamed her afterward and called it bonding. And because, when I gave them a chance to tell the truth, they lied again. So no, I didn't go too far. If anything, I didn't go far enough. Maybe I should have cut them off years ago. Maybe I should have called them out the first time they made me feel invisible. Maybe I should have said no sooner, but I didn't. And that guilt, that regret, I won't pass it on to Grace. She knows now. She knows she gets to say no. She gets to walk away. She gets to choose who has a seat at her table. And most importantly, she knows what it feels like to be protected. That's the legacy I leave her. Not fear, not silence, but fire. So if you're reading this, if you're listening to my voice and wondering if your hurt is real, if your memory is sharp enough, if your family will hate you for telling the truth, let them. Let them be uncomfortable. Let them scream. Let them post and twist and guilt trip and cry, but do not let them rewrite your story. Tell it, out loud, in full, with names if you have to, because somewhere there's a little girl wondering if she matters, and she needs to hear you say, yes, you do. Have you ever stood up against your own family to protect someone you love or to protect yourself? Tell me in the comments. I'm listening. And if you want more stories like this, raw and just a little bit satisfying, hit subscribe. We don't stay silent anymore. Not here.